This is the best of VOCM Open Line with Brian Callahan.
Let's go right to line number 5. And Liberal MHA for Cartwright Lance Clare, Lisa Dempster, you're on the air.
Good morning, Brian.
Good morning. How are you?
Well, I've been better, and certainly the people I represent have been better. I'm calling to talk about the cancellation of a long-awaited school in Cartwright, the cancellation of that project. It's been a long time coming. The tender was awarded last July. The contractor was in on site. Work had begun, and as you know, yesterday the government of the day went out with a press release and they canceled 2 projects, both in rural, interestingly enough, which was the entire platform that they ran on. And so, the leadership in the community feel completely blindsided on nearly $40 million project in their community, and they learned about it when, I guess, one of the media outlets was calling them looking for an interview. They've quickly assembled the school council, the municipal council, and Nunatuva is quite unhappy about this as well in this Indigenous community, Indigenous students, and really now they want to get to the table with the Minister of Transportation and Infrastructure and find a way forward. What we've learned, only again through the news release, is that they're going to rescope the project, they're going to reassess, possibly bring in modular units. It's not acceptable. The community have made it very clear. This community, Brian, for the context of your listeners, is 210 kilometers north of the nearest community. They need a new school. It's a 60-year-old wooden structure. It is plagued with issues from electrical, a safety issue all the way through. It is not accessible. It has no parking lot. There's a litany. And you talk about trying to recruit and retain teachers to come into the north. You can't expect them to come into a dilapidated building falling down. So what's the option? You can't bus. In this age of Indigenous reconciliation, are we going to fly them out and put them in residential schools again? No, we're not going to do that. You know, Cartwright is a community, and I have said it again and again and again. Cartwright is a community that stands behind their children like I've never seen anywhere else. Some of them still live with the trauma of their past history, and they want better for their communities. I believe the project is salvageable. I'm really encouraged the minister to get to the table with the community. They've requested a meeting with him. You know, when the bids came in, there were 7 bidders, and the contract ended up going to the lowest bid. There were concerns around the geotechnical work. The next bidder, $500,000 over, had a very reputable company, used to doing work in Labrador, had gone in, saw that he would need to spend extra on the groundwork, bid a little bit higher. He was comfortable with his figures then. He's comfortable with his figures now. You know, he's already set up in Labrador with quarries and drills and things like that. And when you think about the money that's already been invested, the engineering work, the consulting, the design, when it first came in, we went back to the drawing board again and built housing units into the school to help to entice the teachers to that area. And when you think about what's the cost of canceling a tender to a contractor that's already been awarded, when you consider all that, I really hope that they will take a second look and do the right thing here for the students and for the community of Cartwright.
Yeah, this is just more than a little near and dear to your heart, Lisa, you know, given that it was a big part of your platform, I recall, when you first got elected. That was really what launched your advocacy. Your advocacy for that school was predicated on your run to be elected, was it not?
Well, Brian, I can take you back a little bit further and tell you I never aspired to be where I am as an MHA representing Cartwright Lance Clare. I'm humbled by the opportunity every day. How I ended up here, I served as community rep on the school council in Charlottetown, my hometown, for 14 years. We had big issues. We had ceiling tiles collapsing, mold coming down. Every summer we got a couple of gallons of paint. We got more and more frustrated. I led the charge, supported by incredible, bright, smart smart people, and we did not let go of the lobby efforts. We've got a beautiful school in Charlottetown, fully accessible, clean, good environment, conducive to learning, because the students deserve that. Around that time, a by-election was called, and I've ended up here. I wanted the same thing for Cartwright. When I went into that community with a former premier and we did the apology to the community at residential schooling, those stories and that experience will stay with me forever. And Cartwright is on the cusp of tremendous potential. We know the story of Saga Metals, and they're a find of global significance with the mineral. You know, that's a mineral right now only supplied from places like Russia and China, used for aerospace, for defense, which is a topical conversation every day. But at the heart of all of this, at the heart of it, is the students. It's education. And this government is at the front end of their term. And where is the priority on education? I know the premier have come out and said, we have a deficit. We're not going to write it in the first year. We're not going to balance the books of the people of the province. What it feels like to the people of Cartwright is he's balancing the books on Indigenous students in the north. And that's wrong on every level, no matter which way you slice it.
I think they're balancing the books on various levels. To single out one particular group, I'm not sure. I mean, I know that one other thing I was going to mention that always caught me about this was this would have probably been the first school to actually incorporate housing, given the distance and the remoteness for local teachers. Was it not? Was that part of that, still part of that tender?
It was a beautiful story. So the community, the school, the principal, this whole team, layers, are just so devoted to the students. And you see it every time you go into a community graduation. You see it in spades. So the community was consulted, the school, Nunatuvet Community Council, and it was a beautiful design. We're housing, and you've seen it in some other places in the north where there's challenges. You know, we've had situations with such limited housing in Cartwright where young teachers have gone in, they're staying in an apartment or a space that perhaps only has a wood stove. And I remember just last year there was a fire at a teacher's home. Fire brigade called out the volunteer fire department. Really scary things, safety issues here at play, Brian.
There are, again, and not limited to this particular situation. We've seen the government. I mean, do they not have, that kind of, I'm really struggling with the pejorative language around balancing the books on the backs of da-da-da-da-da. I really have, this is becoming a little bit too repetitive for me. There have to be other ways to phrase it rather than making it political and personal. I don't think for a minute that they're trying to balance anything on kids or people or Indigenous people. I don't believe either government has that in their heart or their head. So I'm loath to go down that road, but to be perfectly honest with you, MHA Dempster, it's just, I don't think it gets us anywhere. I think the better route, and we need to be able to communicate and talk more, is to find out exactly where the numbers were to show that this was what they had to do in the grand scheme of our budget, of our financial situation, rather than singling out one and making it in any way look like there's, we can only do more for Indigenous peoples in this province to make up for what we haven't done in the past. So I'm loath to go that way. I understand the personal side of this for you as well, but I think when ministers and the opposition get on back and forth about a project or a cancellation of a project, I think it's much more important to talk about, the modus operandi here, whether or not the government, which says they're looking at innovative options, and you mentioned this, the prefabricated or modular construction idea. It's not like they just said it's canceled and that's done. They have put out some suggestions. They have said there's a reassessment of the work at the Martin Gallant building in Stephenville as well, which was part of this cancellation. Can you see what I'm saying?
Brian, thank you for the comments. I'm nursing a bit of a head cold, so...
Oh, I apologize for that.
Pardon me with that. 2 points I want to make. Two points. When the administration changed last October, my first meeting request was with the Minister for Transportation and Infrastructure. And I said, where are we on the Cartwright School? Big concern for me. He reaffirmed in a boardroom full of officials, we are still committed to the Cartwright School, assured me the Minister for Labrador Affairs was on board with the Cartwright School. This spring, as it got, closer to construction season, folks in the community began reaching out to me looking for updates. Contractors not here. Nothing is happening. I began reaching out to the minister. I reached out multiple times. He told me he'd have an update for me this week. I asked him questions in the legislature on Tuesday on this. After trying other measures, and he said, we have some issues we're working through. I will have an update for the MHA, and yesterday a news release come out. That was pretty heavy. That said, within 5 minutes, I reached out to the minister, to both ministers. I didn't know at the time that the Minister for Labrador was on a health journey. We really wish her well on her health journey and offer her courage and strength. I reached out to the Minister for Transportation and said, I still want to come in. I still want to have that meeting request. I want to work with you. I asked him to come in with me into the community of Cartwright. Last night, the leadership in Cartwright, they met immediately. There were several groups, and they sent the minister and the premier a list of questions that they have. Okay. And so communication is essential. They want that answered. My final point,
sure.
And you can say it's political or not, but I want to tell you through a Labrador lens, even my own team don't understand this. There's no one in the House, if you're not from Labrador, that fully understands it. Every conversation these days is dominated by something in Labrador, and of late it's been the MOU and the billions of dollars that's going to bring to the province. And when we are fighting for something as basic as a clean learning environment for our kids, it's frustrating, Brian. It's frustrating. I try to educate people all the time on that. We can't be talking about pulling something else out of our backyard if we're not going to give back and we're not going to understand the cost of doing business in the north is a little bit higher. No difference if you're up in Nunavut, Iqaluit, other places that I've been.
Absolutely.
The cost is a little bit higher. We can't turn our back.
Nope, absolutely not. And when we, get rid of $1 billion deficit and $20 billion debt, I'm sure it won't be as frustrating. I would say that. I'd say it's frustrating for a lot of people, including government members. Lisa, I really appreciate the call. We've gone way over, but it was
Ryan,
important.
If we're going to wait until the books are balanced, we got a much bigger problem.
No,
here.
The reality of it, though, should never be far from mind, right? Thinking that, we can't just, we full steam ahead with all the projects that were planned until the realities of the current costs of everything kicked in. But I hear you. It's a good discussion.
It comes down to priority. Yep. I do thank you for your time and the conversation. Have a great rest of the day.
You too, and I hope you're feeling better too.
Thank you kindly.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go right to line number 3. And Cindy, thanks for your patience. You're on the air.
Hi, Brian. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. How's your connectivity on Fogo Island?
It's abhorrent. It doesn't exist. I'm really, my issue is not as big as what Minister Dempster is going through and the people of Cartwright, but nonetheless, it's very aggravating. Bell installed fiber op on Fogo Island probably over a year ago now. And in May and possibly April, we had people, marketing people going door to door on our island, selling this great deal for Bell Fiber, which is fast internet, a TV service, and a home phone for $100 plus tax.
Right. That's the fiber to the home, right?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So I had been a Starlink customer because many of us need very reliable internet here in order to do what we do. So I asked all my questions. I asked about the speed. I asked about the reliability of it. Asked if it was an introductory offer. No, it's not like one of those offers that expires after 3 or 6 months.
Okay.
So on May 28th, I got connected, which was just Thursday past. And yesterday, my service went down at 5:25 p.m., and all of us here who are now reaching out to Bell are being told various restoration dates and times. I was told it would be 6 p.m. today. Others have been told tomorrow morning, and others have been told late tomorrow. So it's really totally unacceptable because, my parents, my in-laws signed up. So now not only do they not have TV and internet, they don't have any home phone service.
This is, you just can't live without that for a half hour, let alone a day these days.
Right.
And especially, look, a little bit more remote. You're not here in St. John's. You can't just, they're not going to send out a technician in a heartbeat. And even if they do, they've got appointments a week out. It's crucial. Look, we lose our minds when it's a bit slow. Because it's not loading or it's not going up quick enough. So to have this kind of complete inaccessibility to it, I remember they laid this, I think it was last year or the year before, the 16-kilometer or so subsea fiber optic cable that was supposed to, connect to Fogo Island. And we know that do you have any idea, and I don't know off the top of my head, how many people signed up for this or how many people are still on Starlink? Like, is there? I
would say that I'm sure there's some Starlink customers that have not switched yet. Myself, I have not canceled my Starlink just in case I had problems. So I do have that option to pull it out and reconnect it. But my bigger worry is yesterday was just a really calm weather day. On Fogo Island, we get a lot of wind from November till April. So what this means for us going forward, I don't know. When I first called, I was told it was only me, and I was like, well, no, it's not. It's my in-laws, it's my parents, it's a friend of mine, so I know that it's more widespread than that. And it soon became apparent that it was pretty much all the island. I'm not sure about the community of Seldom.
It doesn't help, too, when you're all getting different timelines, from the same company.
And not, the onus is on you to call. Like, we get a lot of hydro outages on our island, but Hydro has a great system where they will tell you there is an outage, where it is, why there is, and the possible time of restoration, and they will also tell you if the restoration time has been extended. So I called this morning trying to find out why there is a problem, because the why might impact me about whether or not I keep this service.
Right.
And the lady said, I'm not able to tell you that. And I'm like, well, you have to give me a number so that I can call and find out, because if it's a wire, we can't go through this if it's a wire now. And it's, 15 kilometers of hour wind on a June day.
Yeah, it's not weather,
I wanted to speak to the supervisor. She came back and she said, well, I can tell you that it's something to do with the wires coming to your island. So it's totally unacceptable. If this means that a full crew has to come and they can't come, that is totally unacceptable. And if it's going to be an ongoing issue, I am going to be canceling my service. So I would encourage all people on Fogo Island to call the toll-free customer service number, 1-866-425-4268, because these companies are rarely they're rarely accountable to you until it starts to hit their pocketbook or we start inundating them with complaints.
Yeah, or losses.
And I am not putting up with this. Yep. I'm not putting up with this for very long, and I have told the rep that I will switch back my service. I will cancel the next 2 days if I don't get some quick restoration or get some reasons as to why this happened.
Yep. When you get them on the line, the first thing you say, look, I have to switch. I'm not happy. And normally that conversation goes a certain way. Cindy, I'm right past the break. I got it loud and clear. There's another number too, the 8233 number. You never know. I mean, it's good to have options. So the number you mentioned, do you want to just give it one more time?
The number I mentioned that I reached people was 1-866-425-4268.
And the one I have is 844-305-8233.
Okay, thank you so much.
844-305.
Thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome. And listen, keep us up posted. Maybe we'll even hear from Bell. You never know. We'll try to put a message out to their communications staff.
I really hope someone is listening. Yes, thank you so much.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Kevin on line 1, you're on the air.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Sun shining, does about good.
Yeah, same thing as out there. It's going to be a nice day.
Oh, great. I'm glad to hear that, because I never mean to just be talking to the people in Metro. It could be doing anything around the island, so I appreciate knowing that.
The reason why I'm calling in today is that me and my wife is into a little bit of going around in circles with this insurance company we're with.
Right.
On March the 16th, my wife was going down shopping in that Steamboat. When she went into the parking lot, a vehicle coming from right to left cut her off.
Right.
And it was snowing out on the ground. When she hit the brakes, she hit one of the biggest potholes that was in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And her engine shut off on her 2012 Chevy Orlando. My brother-in-law and her pushed the vehicle into the parking spot where we had to call roadside assistance to get the vehicle brought back home. And about a week later, she called in to take the insurance off of it and just put parking insurance. And she asked the girl, would she be able to put a claim into it? Because where she avoided an accident and she hit the pothole where we got full coverage on the car, right?
Right, understood.
So they told her that they'll check into it and call her back in a day or two. So exactly 12 hours from the time that she called, or a little over 12 hours, they called back and said, yeah, she had a claim. She had a good case for a claim.
For the damage that was caused by hitting the pothole and the engine shutting off?
Yeah, that they said that's where she avoided an accident in that, right?
Yeah, okay. And this is in the parking lot in Stephenville, right? In a parking lot?
No, not in the parking lot, as you're coming into the parking lot.
Okay, so the pothole was actually on a thoroughfare, on the town road.
On a bit of a downgrade. So we took pictures and everything, and we sent it in.
Gotcha. Okay.
And Buddy told us that they'll come and pick up the vehicle and bring it to a garage in Cornerbrook.
Okay.
So they took the car in. They took it to a body shop. When I told them it was no body work needed to be done because the Chevy Orlando was in mint shape. It's when she hit the pothole and the motor shut down. So they took it out there. They called and they told us, they gave us a price that they send the wife email that that the claim went through. They quoted something like $14,000 between labor and a new motor, and that the next email she'll get, it'll be ready to pick up, and she'll be driving again.
Okay.
They gave us a rental, and the day before our twin granddaughters graduated, we got a call saying that they needed the rental back. And from then on, it's like, it was a downfall.
Did you say, so who called to say they needed the rental back? The actual rental car company or the insurance company?
The insurance company.
Said you had to return the rental that you had while your vehicle was getting fixed?
No, because our vehicle, we were in the process that we thought we were getting our vehicle fixed. Because
right, so am I.
It was that they gave us a quote, they gave us the email, they told us that everything was good to go and we should be hearing back from them in days. And then all of a sudden, we were getting calls from the insurance, the one that was going through the insurance adjuster, and they told us that the garage out there said that vehicle was not in an accident. And from day one, we told them it wasn't in an accident. My wife prevented an accident. And when she hit the brake, she hit the pothole.
Yeah, I'm not sure they would, saying that you prevented the accident, I can see that being a gray area for insurance company and adjusters and even legal side of this. You'd have, who knows what could have happened, the repercussions. And I've seen these in civil cases in Supreme Court and elsewhere, and even in small claims where they hash these things out. There's so many, different factors that are involved here. Like, being able to prove that you avoided an accident, the only way you might be able to prove that is through surveillance video in the area, if you had that and could show the near miss, for lack of a better term. So I'm surprised that even enters into the equation. For me, your claim was approved. You were given a rental car. So to me, the fall down here...
Two rental cars, because there's a story behind the first one. My wife got a Chevy Equinox, and within the first 2 weeks of having it, it was rolled off because some missy on Main Street was too interested about what was going on with the RCMP and that on a matter that she sideswiped the rental.
Okay, that's a whole other element that can cloud.
And then they gave us another one, thanking us. The rental, the insurance company said, "Don't worry, we got you another one," and everything.
Yeah.
Right. And then all of a sudden we're sitting here. It cost me and my wife over $500 yesterday to get our vehicle towed from out to the garage where it was to back home, and the insurance is not helping us when they said they were, because they're taking the word of a body shop saying that that vehicle was in an accident, when we said it right from the first that it was in an accident, avoided an accident. And they said where she hit the pothole that we were taking the responsibility of ourselves, saying that it was a claim through us, through our insurance, where we pay full coverage, right? Fire, theft, vandalism, collision, everything, we pay for that.
No, I understand that, Kevin. I guess a lot's going to come down to, part of this is going to come down to, the other accident. And look, this is getting a little bit too tangly for all our listeners. I just want to try to keep it simple. So the upshot is, you had 2 rental vehicles. One of those got rode off. Is there any been blame assigned? Is there any question about the blame of that other accident?
No, they got that covered because the RCMP took notice. They were on the spot.
They were
when
on the
it
spot.
happened.
Okay. All right. Look, only because of the time, Kevin, I got to get to a break. There's a lot on this. Let me think about it. I can get back to you, and you can get back to us if you want. If you can try to, just because of the time, and we've given it a good bit of time here today.
Because somebody told me that you'll be a good one to call and see where we can go from here.
Yeah, and the trick here is knowing all the facts. And what I got so far, there's a lot. I just don't have all of it yet, and I don't want to make any. I mean, we're getting into insurance claims and legal and garages and the communication between them and insurance companies. And there's a lot on it that I can't solve in a moment. I want to think about it, but we got your number. And if I can get a hold of you after, and maybe we can get an email or two, and I can get some answers, a little bit more clarity on some of the issues, and I'll bring whatever conclusions we can come to back to the show. Is that okay?
Okay, thanks a lot. I'll be listening.
Yeah, absolutely, Kevin. Listen, we won't let it go. We'll try to get to the bottom of it, see what can be done. So I appreciate the call. Thanks a lot. We'll be in touch.
All right.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go right to line number 6. And Katie Hopkins, educator with youth and child and youth educator with the Canadian Mental Health Association, Newfoundland and Labrador branch. I hope I got that right. Good morning, Katie. How are you?
Good morning, Brian. Thank you so much for reaching out to us, the Canadian Mental Health Association of Newfoundland and Labrador. It is a mouthful. And for inviting me today to be a part of an important conversation, for sure.
Yeah, and importance almost understates it. When we talk about the things on our plate these days and important priorities that we should have right at the top of every single day we wake up, child and youth mental health, I have to believe
100%.
Absolutely. So what kind of supports are there? Let's just start generally. Where do you start? And do people just reach out randomly? And what education sessions and that sort of thing can you provide?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to talk about that. Yeah. So my role is child and youth educator with CMHANL. Mm-hmm. So what that looks like is, going into different schools from K to 12. And also, when schools are out, reaching out to the community and different community groups, like different with YMCA, Choices for Youth, places like that, and making connections with, children and youth. I've worked in this field. I'm a registered social worker. I've worked in this field for about 17 years now with youth. I guess this role allows me to become an educator and go to these places and talk about really important things such as mental health, mental wellness, building resiliency, talking about coping skills and boundaries. There's a lot of kind of different education sessions that we do offer. And I think, the issue of youth mental health and social media is one, it's not coming to us, say, through email with people saying like, these are things that we're seeing. It's more like when I'm I'm out in schools and in the community, I'm kind of, speaking to children and kind of seeing, okay, wow, this is really impacting them. And interestingly enough, in May we had Canadian Mental Health Week, which we celebrated, and the theme was about connection. And we talked a lot about social media with youth in that conversation, which is very, which really matches up with what we're talking about. So, we're seeing that children and youth are using social media. That's no surprise to anyone, but they're using, even very early on up until, and it depends how you define youth. But for me, when I work with youth, it's up to age 30. So people are using Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and, online gaming. That's just some examples. But certainly the research is saying, and what we're hearing, from the youth, and like what we're seeing, and people saying, I'm not getting a lot of sleep, which is such an important piece of mental health, right? These things, we're hearing that from the youth. And the research is also saying that folks experiencing, kind of that decreased sense of mental wellness when using these things.
Yeah, it's just, to me, it's in a total information overload, Katie. I mean, when you think about, you just listed off some of the apps, but I mean, we know a lot of kids are going to sleep while doom scrolling, just scrolling.
Yeah.
They're just looking at funny reels, they're doing this, and they're literally falling asleep while they're at it, just until it puts them to sleep, as opposed to back in the day, a good book or even just, normal. Close your eyes, think about good positive things, and get some sleep. But it strikes me that 17 years, you said, right? You've and that really begins before the evolving world of social media. So we've all, as adults, had to sort of adjust our own brains to be able to relate to what kids that we didn't have when we were growing up. I mean, it's a different world, and the work that needs to be done to get our own heads, whether it's mental health professionals like yourself or just parents, to at least, because I think the first trick is, make sure they know that you're trying to relate, like you're trying to understand it. You're not just saying, get off your phone, you're doom scrolling too much, you're going to get headaches, your vision's going to be bad. I think that goes over their heads a bit. I think when we start relating and actually looking at some of the stuff, my daughter will come and show me the stuff that she's showing sometimes, and she'll ask me, is this real or not? And so much of it, getting back to the information overload, is what's real and what's not, what's legitimate and what's not, and they're not even at that stage sometimes,
Yeah, you're right. I think it's just this, I think it's a part of our culture. Social media has just kind of been integrated and kind of has really just kind of taken over in a way, and people are trying to learn about it. So that's adults, but also children, right? So my role, as a child and youth educator, is to have these important conversations with kids. But I just wanted to kind of, I think, I know that we have limited time.
Sadly, but yes.
But just kind of, I think it's important just to kind of put it out there and have this conversation for people that are listening. There are specific harms that are related to social media and child and youth mental health. But there's also, positive impacts of social media on children and youth, and we need to kind of look at both of those. And I think we could probably talk about this for a long time. But some of the harms, exposure to cyberbullying is one that we are seeing a lot, which can lead to anxiety and depression. There's online predators, so people connecting with kids who aren't who they say they are, and they might have malicious intents and stuff. Then there's a big culture of comparing, right? So comparing yourself to other people, to other people's lives, other people's bodies, their looks. They may not be realistic. There's filters. There's so much to catch up on and really think about, right?
Are bans enough? In this age now of all provinces, including ours, looking at banning social media for kids under 16, and are these just good first steps? Are these? How would you characterize that move? Like government getting into that realm, just banning it outright?
So I think banning and like the words like banning and enforcement and stuff, it's difficult to say. It's a difficult kind of question to answer. I think a ban would require like a really thoughtful and an in-depth look at kind of the positive and the negatives, right? And if we were to move in that direction, and I know that there was a poll, right? And I think it was heavy on the kind of wanting to ban, not sure how that would look or how we would navigate that or enforce. But I think we do need to have that kind of really thoughtful kind of inquiry into is this worth it? I mean, we can learn a lot from other communities, like other countries. Australia actually has a social media ban for folks under 16. So does Malaysia. There's some other places, and there's a lot of actually pending legislation like France, Poland. So it does seem that there is a trend happening, and I would, as a member of the Canadian Mental Health Association of Newfoundland and Labrador, like I'd be very, very excited and welcome to opportunities like to be a part of that work, looking at managing social media for youth, making it safer. At this time, what we're doing when we go and when I go into schools and do education sessions, we do things like self-care, coping with stress, boundaries, things like that. I always integrate social media into those conversations. So really, I think what we're doing right now is, it's about knowledge, education, awareness of those risks, and of the positive impacts, because sometimes it is a great way to connect. It's doing it in a safe way and in a balanced way. I really like that word, balancing. So can we make it a little bit safer,
Yeah, as opposed to these just flat ban that, as you said, there can be positives involved. Can I ask you this? And you're right, this is such an important but wide-ranging topic. We'll never get to it all today, but as you said, it's important. It's important that it's just there in people's psyche, though. The government is currently considering a ban on, social media ban for youth. Has your organization or you personally, given your expertise, been consulted in any way or brought in and asked for your opinion on any of this?
To my knowledge, we haven't. But like I said, I think that it would be, this organization would be so happy to be a part of that conversation, because we do know, the effects that the negative effects that, are related to just such, it can be intensive use, it can be unsafe use of social media for children and youth, But I think in terms of best practice, having conversations as parents, as teachers, as, whoever, but, these ongoing conversations about the harms related to social media, maybe limiting your, your time spent on social media. So, not an hour before you go to bed, we're going to put your phone away or your tablet. Yeah. It could be like not during school, not during supper, Yeah. And then again, the balancing it with person-to-person connection. Yep. And that's really important. That was something that came out of Canadian Mental Health Week this year was, people are connecting more on social media, youth are specifically, but they're reporting feeling more lonely, even though they're using it more, you know what I mean? But they're actually reporting feeling more lonely. So it's about having that conversation. And just one more point, I think, to the ban piece. One thing that I worry about when we use words like ban and that kind of all or nothing approach, when we ban something, so say like if we ban tobacco, or something like that, people are going to do it anyway. Is what I have experienced, So when we ban something and take something away, it takes away the opportunity for safe people like parents to have conversations around, like, you can come to me if you're feeling like this, like you're talking to someone, it doesn't feel right. Yep. Or, it takes away that it closes that door, that window, if you want to look at it that way.
Yeah, it's restrictive.
So these are things to consider, right?
Yeah, I agree. It's restrictive, and it shuts down the conversation to all sides. And speaking of that, as I mentioned, let's hope the government reaches out, because the last thing we want is for them to draft something, and as has happened in the past, people will come out and say, well, we weren't consulted. And you would seem like a big part of this. Katie, I appreciate the call. I'm so far over time. We have to do this again, maybe regularly in some form.
I would love to. Yes, I would love to.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I know I have so much to say about it, and I know you're on a timeline, but thank you for having me. And yeah, we are so thankful to be a part of that conversation.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go right to line number 1. And John, you're on the air.
Hi, buddy. How are you?
Good, sir. You want to respond to Katie Hopkins there on the youth and youth mental health, just to put it succinctly.
Yeah, well, the whole social media ban. I mean, not even for youth, just in general.
Yeah.
It's a bit disheartening to some degree, because I'm not very liberal or conservative. I'm pretty neutral in the whole thing. But we banned news off of Facebook. Mm-hmm. So we're limiting the access to information as it is. So it's harder to find out things in your area, or things that are going on in general around the world.
Legitimately, yeah.
And you know, and now we're going to take that away from children. And while I agree, yes, there's a lot of cyberbullying, and yes, there's a lot of things going on. It's also up to the parents to step in and monitor it and be more proactive than reactive. You know what I'm saying?
I do, and totally.
And I think that taking social media away from young people, we're taking away valuable information that they need to establish their own ideas and their own beliefs of what is right and wrong in society today. And I don't think that taking that away from the youth is the proper way to go about it, personally.
Yeah, the content is the issue. It's gotten away from us, just like AI has. So it's all about the content. You're right. But it works both ways. There's good and there's bad content on social media, and a lot of us are very nervous. Some kids are easily led than others, more easily led, and we can't escape the fact that the risks seem to still right now outweigh the rewards of social media. That's where we are. I still don't think we have a proper handle on it. And you're right, the parents, absolutely. But I always say, the third parent in the family is your teacher. I mean, our teachers and school staff see our kids sometimes more hours of a day than we do. But, Yep, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. No, and while I agree with that, the teachers are also, they can't do their job as well, because they're not getting help from the government. Like the whole thing here is it's so frustrating. I got 2 kids and one on the way. I grew up in the 90s. I grew up on the internet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
And I've seen it from the very beginning till now, and I managed out okay. You know what I'm saying? Now, while there is more bad stuff now than there probably was back in, let's say, the early 2000s, post 2010. My parents just never left me unsupervised, and it's up to the parents this day and age. You got to tell them, I don't let my 10-year-old on YouTube. I don't do it. I think it's wrong, and I'm after seeing stuff on it. I'm like, no, man, you can't watch that. And while John Hogan came out and proposing the ban, I don't think that's the way to go. I think the parents need to step up, and I think that it's just we got to go a different route. And I get where you're coming from, that the mental health issues above it all. But again, these kids that are bullying, these kids that are cyberbullying, where does it come from?
Yep.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, no, you're absolutely right. And it's the easiest low-hanging fruit to just say ban it. And I agree with Katie on that. We do that too often when we don't really have a deeper ideology about it, or a deeper fact, or better statistics about it. We just know that in general, people don't like it. They don't like what's happening with it. So the popular thing to do politically is to, well, if nothing else, to propose it. And it's not just politically. There's science that shows, we know the facts are out there. It harms kids right now, especially, look, you may be the greatest parents, but we know there are parents who aren't monitoring what their kids are doing. Either too busy, or really some parents just aren't great parents. bottom line. And that's a fact, that we can't deny. So, and when the kids are left to their own devices, and I mean that figuratively and literally speaking, it gets to the point where, I want to keep an eye on everything that's kind of going across it, but you can't. So it's the risk and reward again, right? I mean, the ban doesn't. I just think there could be more work done on the word ban. What does a ban mean? Yeah.
I agree 100%. And people don't. There should be more education on content filters. Like, I know for my age, like with my son with his, we got one of them Chromebooks.
Yeah.
You can go on Google and you can limit what he can search and what he can't search.
That's right.
You can go on and put on thicker filters so he can certain words, certain things that he just can't access.
Yeah,
and with on your tablet, Amazon Prime, you can limit what he can find and what he can't find.
Yep. And once again, right? I mean, that depends on the parent, and if they even have that knowledge and the time to go through the trouble to do that. Others are probably more content to say they seem fine. Doesn't seem to be harming them, but.
Yeah, and I mean, but like the whole, banning stuff and making things harder to find. Like, I don't know if you're following the whole Roblox thing with the child grooming and the predators and all this stuff. Like, I'm after talking to parents that don't even know about that because they don't look at the news, or it's not on. A lot of people only go on Facebook, and now you're not allowed to see news on Facebook, so they're not getting information that way.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It's like the more we limit it, the less that people are getting this information that could be helping them, and their children throughout the day.
Yep. John, only because I'm right at the news, I'm really sorry about that, because we could talk about this as Katie and I were talking earlier. It needs to be talked about more often. As far as that goes, though, some parents just don't have the good understanding of it. I mean, they really don't. When we talk about, filters and trying to keep an eye on what's being monitored. But I got to get to the news. I really appreciate the call, and I welcome more of it, because these are our kids. And some parents, that grew up well before the internet aren't as savvy as others and haven't given it that time of day either, So, again, like I said, some cases we're leaving it to their devices, and that's not a good idea.
All right, buddy. Thank you very much.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line with Brian Callahan.
Let's go right to line number 4. And Mike Murray, you're on the air.
Yeah, hi, Brian. How are you?
Loaded question these days, but doing well.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the Carter Hart issue. I think it's, I got to say, I think it's a disgrace for the NHL and the Knights to have him suited up and on the ice. I mean, I think it's really outrageous. And, I mean, there's, of course, been the no means no chance at the games, but they also had to cut off a press conference for him the other day. And I suspect those things are only going to continue. I mean, when you look at it, okay, so the incident happened. Then it was investigated by Hockey Canada. It was found to be a credible accusation, and the victim received a payout. Then there was a trial in court, and the case wasn't proven beyond a reasonable doubt. I mean, that doesn't mean he can go around saying he was innocent. He was found not guilty. But most importantly, I think you got to look at what was admitted at the trial by the players, that they had group sex with a girl who'd been drinking, that they texted and called their friends to come on up to the room, you don't want to miss this, that they filmed her, and that they made her film a consent video afterwards. I mean, that's really entitled and misogynistic behavior. And hockey, all professional athletes, they make a lot of money, and part of it is their ability to play the game, but also, character is a component of it as well. This guy has got to be a team ambassador and a league ambassador. Let's say the Knights win the Stanley Cup, and there's a hometown hockey parade where he lifts up the cup and all the kids are there. How do you tell, or visiting sick kids in the hospital, the kind of stuff that players do? How do you tell your 8-year-old that, he's fine, they gangbanged a drunk chick, but he was found not guilty? To have dirtbags like that in the NHL is a real disgrace for the league and for the team. Yeah, it doesn't say very much for the Knights, who are like a buy a team at any cost kind of operation,
Yeah, I do. And this is why I brought it up right off the top of the show. It's a polarizing topic. There's no question about that.
You know where I stand.
I do indeed, and as a seasoned and veteran former Crown prosecutor, you have some knowledge of how these things work, and you can't just dismiss what was actually not disputed in the case. As you said, just going back to some of the things that were acknowledged to have happened. In the end, though, as you said, found not guilty. But as you also said, characterizing him as you did, a lot of people do, as I think the words the dirtbag or whatever you want to call him. It's a gamble for the team, but since there's nothing really, restricting it legally, what do you do?
Well, I mean, not everything is legal. Nobody's got a right to play in the NHL. I mean, the Vegas Golden Knights signed him. They didn't have to. I mean, the whole legal thing is nonsense. It doesn't really apply to this situation.
Yeah, and
the character of the players is important.
It is.
And, I mean, in a world where we're trying to promote women's hockey and women's participation in sports, to have the like of that playing in the NHL and potentially hoisting the cup, I mean, I think it's a real black eye and a real disgrace for the NHL.
Potentially hoisting the Conn Smythe. He could end up being the MVP of the playoffs, and these questions are forever going to follow the team, follow him. It taints it absolutely, and at what point are they role models anymore?
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're not. Maybe nobody cares. Maybe I'm just too old-fashioned, but I think it's crazy. I think it's a disgrace. I think he should be run out of the league.
Yeah, well, listen, it's an opinion that you're not the only one who shares. Others, I'm getting emails that are saying they wonder what planet you've come from. But, because they say, read the decision, the guy is innocent. Innocent of what? Innocent of the charge that he faced.
Innocent of, the only difference between the facts that made the criminal charge and the facts that were admitted is whether it was proved beyond a reasonable doubt that the poor girl consented. I mean, the fact of the matter is they ruined her life, whether they're, and they acted like a bunch of pigs, and they acted like the entitled, misogynistic, overprivileged, junior hockey stars that they were. I mean, those are the facts.
Yeah, it was rife with problems from the start. This doesn't go away. It is what it happened. It happened. It's not like the case says it didn't happen. And then you have the other sidebar to all of this, the other side show where the Canadian hockey, the league buried it, and Canada Hockey, the junior hockey program, buried it and paid off, these guys with money that various
little kids paid their
associations and organizations across the country paying the registration, used all that money. It's not a good look in any way, shape, or form, and you have people who just hope it goes away. Time passes and people forget. But I'm going to put you down as undecided.
Yeah. I would not say undecided.
Yeah, no. Mike, listen, I appreciate the sentiment, and look, I'm getting lots of reaction to it, and it's a conversation we should have, right? Especially coming from your corner with the knowledge of the court system that you have. People may not agree, but, it does give everybody a really bad taste when he's clearly, no means no, being chanted through the, loud as clear and day, and then even the announcers and everybody hesitant to acknowledge it. So, it's an awkward scenario and dynamic that's been created by Vegas for hiring the guy, and he could end up being the best player for them in the playoffs. Wild.
Yeah, well, like I said, the only difference between what was admitted and what was alleged was whether the girl consented. Either way, I mean, it's deplorable behavior.
Yeah, I have one other note here. It says she consented, wasn't rape, and she got embarrassed when it all came out. I mean, that's just an email I just received.
Well, and that's the whole point I was just making.
Yep.
I mean, this kind of disgusting behavior, whether there's consent or not, I mean, doesn't belong in a league where children idolize hockey players.
Yep. Yeah, and a star at that. He is a star, so there it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, appreciate the opinion. I'm sure others will have some either just as the same, in favor or opposed, and that's the point of the show. So, Mike, I really appreciate you making time.
Yeah, okay. I mean, like I said, this is a question of whether you believe that character still plays a role in professional sports.
And I think it should.
And if you don't think it doesn't, if you don't think it should, then, go watch that, what's that game where people take steroids and run around the track in that minute?
The new...
maybe there should be a special little rapist league.
Yeah.
All right.
For separate people, I don't know. That's quite the comment. Thanks again, Mike. Appreciate it.
Okay, bye.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
We have callers, and as I said, those are the priority. Let's go right to line number 2. And Garnet, you're on the air.
Morning, Brian.
Good morning. How are you?
Happy doing the 4th.
Yeah, it is the 4th, isn't it? Thanks. May the 4th be with you.
There you go. About Paul said a couple of days ago, right?
Yeah.
Uber.
Yep.
There was I said to your buddy yesterday, the other day, that there was someone on at a big news conference, and one of the things they announced in the transportation will be provided by Uber.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very strange. Here we have hundreds of taxis in the city, again, like Paul was saying, and not being utilized the way they used to be. And because of Uber. And, they talk about, like Paul said also, too, an American-owned company.
Mm-hmm.
One other case in time, I was coming in a while ago from the airport. I was coming up there. And as I stood outside, 4 people came out and requested Uber. I don't think that was ever the intentions of City Hall or whoever put it in for Uber to come in and do this much damage to our local drivers.
And it was the provincial, just to be clear, it was the provincial government that launched this ride-sharing service, Uber, back in 2024. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but City Hall still had to okay this, right?
For municipalities,
yeah. Now, go back to the initial start of Uber, and I'm going to go back a little bit further because I've left the taxi industry now.
Sure.
A number of years. The biggest problems that the taxis had was only in the night times, on the weekends, during the festivals. And boy, I worked an awful lot of those nights, and we had downtown cleared up by 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Steady go, right? Now, they could have tried another solution to alleviate that in the nighttime, and I'm sure there's ways. I mean, I had thought about why couldn't they put a bus down and say, okay, well, it's $20 an hour per hour, hop in, we're going. Bus is leaving at 2 o'clock, $20 down to Torbay, get in, fill her up, right? And that would take, and then they're gone, and then the taxi still got the rest to take up. The extra load is gone out of there. And for them to bring in Uber, and that was to offset people complaining about getting taxis. And when the big jobs, you're going to get that anyway. Big jobs. Don't make it up here. I stood up one time down in Florida for an hour and a half, Miami International Airport, to get a taxi to go to a hotel. And they're well established in the Uber. We couldn't get one. We couldn't get either taxi. And even though we're smaller, but yet we had the same equal amount per capita of people traveling in the taxis as you did down there. So I say my heart was out to my dad. I'm in the industry.
Garnet, can you? I'm having a little bit of trouble here. I don't know if you're moving around or if it's just the reception, but.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of a 12K walk.
Oh, that would explain it. Are you able to stop walking while you're talking?
I just did, yeah.
Okay, there you go. That'll help. Go for it.
Catch me breath.
I was wondering. I was saying, yeah. Okay, go.
I don't think they really looked at the solutions hard enough for the downtown area. That's my take on that. I mean, Uber should never be here, the base of here was maximum with the Metropolitan might hit 230,000 for Uber.
Yeah, I don't know if it's up that high yet. I mean, always it's fluctuated, say, depending on the metro area when you define it. If we're going all the way out from, Cape St. Francis to, say, Paradise, and CBS, well, not CBS, but Paradise, that area, if you want to include the metro area, then, yeah, you're up over 200,000 at this point. But, there were all kinds of, we know how this all affected the local cab companies in the beginning. I haven't heard as much since. I mean, look, the cab industry gets vocal when they need to get vocal, when they have a serious issue. And obviously, you know, the sit-in rate or whatever we call it, you know, often comes up from time to time just to get in the vehicle. But I know there were a few studies done and a few media organizations did their own checks, and they ultimately found that Uber was a little bit cheaper. And
the money is the thing. Yeah, I understand that too.
Yeah.
But you take it back. When I left the industry, there was I must say anywhere between 320 to 340. They got a cap at 364, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
In the town now. But now I don't know the number. I probably should have reached out to someone to find out. I think they're well down below 200.
Yeah, I don't have updated numbers. I won't even pretend to guess, and I don't want to. Although sometimes when I say a wrong number, that gets people calling to correct me, and which is always good. I don't know it all, or no way, that's for sure. But beyond that, the rate, I don't know whether or not, I haven't heard from my usual buddies, but I mean, the issue, of course, was the safety. And I know that there were a couple of establishments downtown that wondered about, you know, the Uber sign wasn't as visible or maybe even wasn't even there. So there were safety concerns then about what that brought to the table. I'm a traditionalist. I have never gotten an Uber here in the city. I did get one in Montreal once because it made perfect sense from the airport to downtown. And I really wasn't shunning Jiffy or Citywide or Buggins or anyone like that. But here locally, I'll always call the one that redial the local cab company. And the app works great, and they're there in a heartbeat.
I probably had you in my car from Cowan Avenue.
Oh, yes, you did. Right at the bottom, right? Right next to the Waterford.
Yeah.
You had the whole family, probably.
Yeah, I've been around a long time.
Yeah.
No, if you would drive around the city now, I mean, to go in certain areas, and I'm probably going to pick up Bugness and Citywide for one. Jiffy, okay, you go down Cameron Road now, you see three or four Jiffy Park. You go up Pennywood Road, you see a bunch parked there, right? You go down by the hotel, there's always a few there. Then, of course, you go down Toby Road, where Mr. Gulliver has his buses and whatnot, and there's a whack taxi in there. Then you go up in the Airport Heights, where he also has some, and there's a whack taxis in there.
Yep.
No drivers. Right, you know, and before they would be on the road. I operated Buggins and we had 89 drivers.
89.
89, and they had it full at the time for a few years, right?
How long ago now? When was the last time you were driving?
Last time I was driving was, I say, almost 19 years ago.
Okay,
now.
So you can appreciate how the landscape has changed in 20 years, hey?
Oh yeah, and I was at it for 29 years. Besides that,
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Prior to that, right?
And thanks for the safe transportation, by the way.
Only thing
I'm here today.
The only thing is, coming back from downtown, a lot of the kids wants to stop in the McDonald's. We always hated stopping in the McDonald's or something like that. If you wanted to get back downtown and get them a job. Now that's the way most of the taxi drivers thought. They didn't care about 20 or 30 cents clicking up on the meter while you're getting lunch. They wanted to get you out and get back and get another one.
Yeah, back in the queue, right?
Yeah.
Back at the lay-by.
Yeah, they handed out. I'm sorry to hear this morning about that lady on the TransCanada, and I got to give out my kudos, big thanks for the CPAC, is it, the Moose Protection and the
SOPAC, yep.
Right, they voiced their voices for a long time, and they started getting something done.
Absolutely.
Now here's another life gone. Okay, so maybe that. If the government had to act when they should have, which they never seem to do, this stuff goes, and there's still more and more people getting killed. Now, how many people has got to get killed for them to do the right thing? It's the problem.
It's the never-ending question, Garrett. You're absolutely right. One is too many, and it continues to happen, which means we continue to have a problem. Now, every accident, and I call it an accident at this point, I don't know what happened here, but everyone is different. Garrett, only because I'm right past the break, I'll just give you a few seconds to wrap up. Sorry. Time is never my friend, but go for it.
One more thing.
Yeah.
Roundabouts. Our engineers got to get them put in to save lives. How much is a life worth? A 13-year-old girl lost her life on Ruby Line and Richard Howard Drive. Lots of room to put a roundabout in. You could have had in. Another thing, they're shitty design in their on and off ramps. Horrible.
Yeah, some of the angles and some of the turns and some of the distances you have before you get on and get off them, I agree, it's a little bit tangly. I think we're still learning, finding our way on roundabouts, but I'll take more of them because I absolutely despise traffic lights, only because I have patience, but it's just, I just hate getting the yellow. Anyway, thanks, Karen.
One more little anecdote. At ramp entrance to O'Donnell's Road, coming down the Southern Shore Highway. You're doing 90. People are coming off and stopping. They don't have enough room to get to 90. They're coming off at 50, then they got to put her through the middle to get to 90. And there's not enough room. There's only about less than half a kilometre.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Oh, let's go right to line number 2. And Donna, you're on the air.
Hi, Brian. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm okay, thank you. How are you?
Good. No, I was curious because I was waiting for the sentencing of high-profile manslaughter case here in St. John's, and I never seen anything for a couple of days. I do believe I've seen on Facebook, I think it was on Stolen in Newfoundland, I do think it was from VOCM reporting on that sentence. But I was wondering how come it took so long for the media to disclose any of that, because it was May 29th he was sentenced, and nothing on the news, on TV, or any of that.
Yep.
And then I believe it was the first that your director actually pointed out to me, because I didn't see it on CBC, but you had to keep on scrolling down. But regardless, the sentence, the 24-month sentence, and I'm assuming that's a provincial sentence because anything over 24 months is a federal offence. But you can open up your web page, but you see someone get 18 months for a shoplifting charge.
Yeah, so Don, I think just so that our listeners are aware, you're speaking about initially the case you're talking about is the Desmond Downey case where he was found guilty of manslaughter. That was in connection with the 2022, that's 4 years ago, that he, the bottom line is he punched a man in the side of the head. And it was, there was a family dispute here, and the question was whether it was intent or not, because it could have, a punch to the head that caused the death. Then it gets into whether or not it's second-degree murder or manslaughter. So he was found guilty of manslaughter in this case, without getting too deeply into it. And he was sentenced on this Friday past to 2 years in jail. In connection with the death, and I will say, of Douglas Hunt was the gentleman's name. He's a 71-year-old man. Yeah. And Desmond Downey was in his early 50s at the time. And again, there was a family connection here. There was a bit of a dispute. There were tempers and anger over this, that. It had to do with the cremation of the mother of another relative. And so without getting into all of that, your point is the sentence. So it was a 2-year sentence. He was given some time for credit for time served, as is always the case. So he has about 15 months, basically, left to serve in this sentence for manslaughter. Now, on top of that, just before he was actually the verdict came down, which is, as you said, back in May, before the verdict came down, he was actually found charged with intimidating a witness, somebody who was a witness to his trial. And while he was free pending his pending the verdict, he was charged with that, intimidating a witness. And that case still has to be tried, and that's going to be back in provincial court in September. I'm just looking I had my own calendar here for Mr. Downey, because when I was not hosting the show, when I was still reporting for VOCM News and covering the courts, I covered this trial right till the end until I took over this show. And I've passed on the information, and we're still trying to pick up some of these. That's one of the, what's the word I'm looking for? Pivots that we've had to make here at VOCM, because when I left the newsroom, they had to find another person to cover the courts and to pick up for the slack of just a loss of a reporter. But anyway, in any event, he's back in court in September the 23rd on the charge of theft under $5,000, unlawfully intimidating a witness, and three breaches of court undertakings. But that's the upshot of it right now. He has been convicted, and he has been sentenced, and he has 15 months left to serve inside, and then he will still have to face this charge in September. So that's where it stands as of now.
Okay, do you think that the media should have played a bigger part in that case than it did for nothing to be published until June 1st?
Here's what I would say to that. It depends on resources, Donna. Like, we try to play every part. As you can appreciate, as newsrooms, some are limited more than others. Some have more resources than others. We did not have the resources, and it was on a Friday afternoon, I believe, 2 o'clock last Friday. Didn't have the resources to be there physically. And since the courts are not always providing a virtual option, which makes it a little easier if we don't have someone to scramble and send down and get parking and get into the courtroom. And even then, it could be delayed or it could be postponed, which happens a lot these days. So, it depends on each media representative. Now, I will say that the trial proper, the one for manslaughter, all media covered exhaustively. And when you consider, and I don't want to pitch, one case more important than the others, but, we have, I can't even tell you, I think there's 7, maybe 8 murder cases right now in the local metro area. 4 of them are first degree, which is the most serious charge on the books. And so, they all have to be covered too. And sometimes they're just appearances, and sometimes there's actually a sentencing, and sometimes there's actually a guilty plea. But you don't know unless you show up in court, because anything could happen once the judge takes the bench. So we do our best. I don't know if I would say media could have covered it better, to be honest. It's hard. Certain people have time to duck in and check the media sometimes, and others don't. And, it's not like there's an obligation to get everything covered, because we just can't. We don't have the resources to do it. And in terms of a manslaughter... Yep, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just found it strange. Like, I can open up CBC or VOCM and TV,
yep,
and they're reporting of shoplifter caught in the west end of St. John's.
And you know why that is?
Possibly.
I can tell you why that is, and that is because on a regular basis, we will get news releases from the police, whether it's the RCMP and whether it's the RNC. So if we don't have to be in court and we don't have to chase that down into the court and try to find out what it is, and when they send out releases like that, it's an indication to them that these are cases that, are significant to them. Because if they sent a news release on every single arrest they made in a run of a day, we'd be inundated. So they pick and choose, and they'll send us stuff that obviously the RNC feels are important and should be out there, such as an overnight report from the police. We get those all the time, and we will report them as we have time to do it. But we have to put those in order of importance as well. So you'll hear, I know what you're talking about on NTV or whatever. Those cases will probably be down around the 6:15, 6:20 time period, later on in their reports. They don't lead with that kind of stuff. But it's, it's just a case where if you have an RNC release and it's there, sometimes, it'll be reported. Other times, if time permits, and depending on the news cycle that day, whether it's an Energy NL conference, whether it's the health minister announcing, unfortunately, that she's not well and has to take time away. Look, the news, it never stops. Lately, it's become just the proverbial fire hose. It's in our face, and we have to do our best to be there all the time. Sometimes not all the media can. So as I said, that case in particular, Desmond Downey case, everybody, from what I saw, including ourselves here at VOCM, followed it through as far as we could. And for us, our purposes, it just so happened that I had been taken out of the newsroom loop for this position here. And of course, there are some cases that were still going on while we didn't have a court reporter, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does. Thanks.
Yeah.
One more question now before I take off.
Sure.
In regards to the needles that are around St. John's, who's funding the needle program for to have clean needles for addicts?
That's good, sir. It should be through NL Health Services would be my first thing. And I saw this come across my desk the other day, and I'm just trying to remember. I'm trying to remember. There's a needle disposal in St. John's, but you're not talking about that. Yes, the swap program. That's right. Thanks.
That's what I was aiming at, because before, now I'm all for the giving out clean needles, but before they start giving out the free needles, you hardly seen a needle, because they kept them, I guess. But my friend sent me a picture of the needles that was on his steps. and then call 311, and there's no one assigned to be picking up these needles. Now, the SWAT program, actually, I didn't even know there was one till you just mentioned it.
And that's through the AIDS Committee, by the way. That's through the AIDS Committee of Newfoundland and Labrador, yeah.
Okay, if you get 3 needles, before you get any more, you should have to return them 3 needles that you use instead of dropping them on the street. Because now we got the summer coming, and you don't know what kind of footwear to be wearing.
No, listen, Donna.
The needles are everywhere.
The disposed needles in our everywhere, parks, you name it, are a problem. I don't know if I'll correlate it just to that program, but I know what you're saying. It's not a bad idea. That conversation, that's not a bad suggestion. It's a great suggestion in order to, in any way, shape, or form, reduce the amount of disposal of needles that are just tossed to the side and end up in child daycares and that sort of thing. Donna, only because of the time on the clock, I got to get off to the break.
That's fine. I'm glad you had time to talk to me.
Yeah, no, we had a couple of topics there. It was great. Please call again. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thanks.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's, without further ado, go right to line number 6. And Evan Cox, president of the Newfoundland and Labrador Association of Fire Services, you're on the air. My tongue twister today. How are you?
Good morning, sir. Good. How about yourself?
Oh, it's been a morning. It's pretty busy here on the old show, I can tell you. But I knew what I was in for, so here we go. But I appreciate you making time for the program today, given, our experience last year. I don't need to remind you or others in the first responder business. How are your nerves as we head into another summer, and hopefully not one as difficult as last year?
Well, of course. I mean, there's a lot of firefighters out there that are concerned about this topic. There's no doubt about that. The best thing we can do as firefighters is educate the residents of our municipalities and our local service districts on the importance of making properties fire smart and preventing devastation if a wildfire does come knocking on our doors.
Yeah, well, I mean, it did not just knock on our doors, it knocked down our doors, a lot of people's last summer. I guess the saving grace, Evan, would probably be the wetter winter we've had. Although, we hear all today, I think I heard this morning that Labrador City is already imposing some fire bans. So it's, we're already into it very much, hey?
Yes, certainly. I mean, people shouldn't necessarily be letting their guard down and should be vigilant. And as I said, if a fire department or firefighters out there are, thinking, what can I do to help make my community effectively as safe as it can be? There's a couple things. And as I mentioned, number one is educating the residents. Public education and prevention is key.
Absolutely.
So for anybody out there, and including any residents of the province, they can access Fire Smart Canada's website. There's resources coming out the wazoo, all the information you would need to effectively make your property fire smart. So our provincial government has stepped up with regards to training and some equipment, to help in these efforts should they be needed. One was they brought in some trainers from Manitoba to deliver a course called Ground Cover Firefighting for structural firefighters. Excellent course, a lot of good information. There was approximately 65 of us that took the course as trainers. So, there might be a fire department out there saying, geez, this sounds like a good course, but, how can I get in on that, or how can I access it?
Right.
And as I said, there's about 65 approved trainers all across the province, and I mean all across the province, from every corner or edge that you may think of. And if they contact the Fire Emergency Services or the Fire Services Division, they can provide them with that list, and they can reach out to those trainers to arrange training in their town. And there's a lot of good topics and tactics and scenarios that are covered to help prepare firefighters for responding to the wildland urban interface, which is basically the area where structures and residences meet undeveloped wildland or areas of vegetative fuels.
In your mind's eye, after last year, and I'll get you to speak to some of the training courses, maybe specific ones that are coming up. I'm sure most departments, volunteer or otherwise, are probably familiar with them and have those connections to make sure they're aware of the dates. But I might get you to touch on some of them. But just in your mind's eye, after last year, do you feel more prepared? Do you think we're more prepared this year than we were last?
I can unequivocally tell you that there's a lot of fire departments out there now that are definitely more prepared for this type of incident. Now, keep in mind, I think sometimes maybe the general public, or fire departments sometimes as a whole, may, I guess, get bogged down in this piece. Keeping in mind, I mean, our primary mandate as municipal fire departments are to protect our municipalities and from structure fires and incidents within the town. I mean, we're not specifically trained or tasked with going out into forested and heavily wooded areas, outside of our municipalities and fighting forest fires. Our job and duty is to, combat the wildland-urban interface and protect the perimeter of our towns, and perhaps if there's brush fires within our town, something of that nature. Of course, if it's going to be heavily forested areas, Department of Forestry will be involved. So yeah, like you said, the training piece is really equipping us to, be able to operate effectively and safely, but the best strategies and tactics for when a fire could potentially meet our towns.
Have any of the training that has been offered or is currently being offered inched into that sort of realm whereby you're not just protecting homes and private property that we saw in rural areas, especially in CBN last year, that there's not a very fine line between where the town ends and where all of a sudden you're deep into the woods.
Yeah, you're certainly right, and I can tell you from a firefighter who was boots on the ground and the Kingston Complex fire last year, I seen it firsthand. There's certainly, as you said, sparse properties, and it's not like a largely urban developed area. However, the key thing for, there's no fire department out there that can go out and, wet down every square inch of their town.
Exactly.
So it really, really falls back on the property owners to help ensure their properties are fire smart. And a couple of those tactics are there's different zones, right? The 0 to 1.5 meter zone. You can reduce the chance of embers, igniting fuels and such, around decks. And just for a great example, anybody who burns wood, you'll see lots of times they'll have their cords of wood stacked up against their house or underneath their deck. That is a huge no-no, and you're just asking for trouble. And we might have not given second thought to that in the past, right? Mm-hmm. But now, of course, it's a very different consideration. And some of the case studies in the training we did, specifically some of the wildfires in Fort McMurray a few years ago, and we've seen video footage, and we've seen evidence of it's not necessarily a burning fire that comes right up to the home and catches it on fire. It's firebrands or embers, as we know them, that are traveling through the air and getting lodged. It could be, in our province, not a big concern, but like cedar shake shingles or a lot of dead foliage perhaps around the perimeter of the home. And a really bad one is mulch. Anybody, Newfoundlanders like to get the mulch, up at Kent and put all along the perimeter of your house, that is terrible. Absolutely terrible, right? So anybody who has, those types of things around their home, they might have to reconsider that kind of stuff now and remove it and put a more, fire-resistant material, around the perimeter and look at the different fire zones and how they can reduce the risk. So, like you said, if you're looking at areas like the CBN area and other towns, municipalities, then, communities, municipalities themselves, and fire departments can help educate the residents as to how to make their properties fire smart, which will in turn reduce the devastation if a wildfire does pass through those areas, right?
Absolutely, Evan. I wish we had more time, but we will have to have these recurring conversations to keep those. Yeah, they may seem like simple, obvious things, but like you said, the wood up against the house. I bought a home years ago, and the first thing I noticed was the stack of old wood against the back wall of the house outdoors. And you could just see it. It was an accident and a fire waiting to happen. But it wasn't always in our consciousness, right? Let's be honest. I mean, we've seen the Fort McMurray things. We've seen a lot of these things from afar. And we have great sympathy for them, and we're abhorred and we're shocked. But it's not until you see a wildfire or you're on the boots on the ground, like you said, that you just can't control. That's just going out of control. It's moving like a real entity. It's shocking, fascinating, and terrifying all at the same time.
The speed at which these
Yeah.
fires move is you would never think, right? And we've watched different scenarios and different training, actually, like in Northwest Territories, they actually burn wooded areas and say built structures with different types
Yep.
of cladding, and we can watch it in real time. And it's like, I'm talking minutes, a minute, 2 minutes, and the fire is completely passed through. So you don't have time to do the prep work lots of times. When the fire is approaching, that's where you can do it well beforehand and have your property as protected as possible, right?
Yeah, and fire breaks and all that sort of thing where it's possible to do. And we saw last year. I mean, it takes no prisoners and it doesn't play favorites. You could have a home on one spot, the one next door to it could have been the one that's taken out. So
Yep,
it's a big issue. We got to keep talking about it, and hopefully we're prepared. There'll be a conversation for water bombers and chief water bomber pilots. I'm not going to put you on the spot with that because it's kind of outside your realm, but I'm sure you're watching that closely too. Evan Cox, the president of the Newfoundland Labrador Association of Fire Services. It's a great chat. Let's do it again sometime soon. I got a feeling we'll need to.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
This is the best of VOCM Open Line.
Let's go to line number 5, and Shauna, you're on the air.
Hey, Brian, how are you?
Hi, pretty good. This is
I got to start off. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
I love it.
All right?
I love it.
Like you would.
Yes, you would. Exactly like you would. And I'm glad. That's really great. We're always looking for new.
True. I was at the Basel stage, too, when I was a little girl. Is that you, Baz?
Me too.
Right.
We're probably of the same vintage.
Maybe.
Yeah.
All I got to say is, Leila, you got it. You got this. You got the whole province behind you. You got the big land and you got Newfoundland. So.
And you're speaking about, of course, our health minister and many other hats that she wears, Leila Evans.
I worked with Leila in Boise's Bay. She was an environmental quarter back in the day. That was way back in 2006, maybe.
Yeah, so you've known her some time.
Oh, geez, I known her for years, yes. Yeah.
And
I was so happy when she became she got a lot of pots to fill right now, and she's going through a lot.
Boy,
right?
does she ever.
Yeah.
And
she's trying to do it. She's trying to do too much at once now. Just focus on your health. Right?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to get into the realm of her own personal health and what's best for her.
No,
but I hear
absolutely not.
But even she said herself, right? It's I think the best line I heard, she said, she has a lot, but she's used to a lot, and that's just speaks to all of the.
Well, I'll tell you what, she's a strong Labradorian woman. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Right, and she got a heart of gold. She loves Labradorians, and she cares about people. She left, even with her illness, she went and went to Shesh and, worrying about, our people and stuff, right? Because I'm an Innu girl.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a 60 scoop survivor.
Well, I'm sorry for everything you have had to go through in that realm.
It's no worries. Don't worry about that. No, I just worry about Leila. She's like the sweetest woman you'll ever meet in your life. All right?
Yeah, and you know firsthand.
Yeah. She used to walk with this buddy Gus. His wife went and died with diabetic, I don't know, whatever it was. Anyway.
Maybe a seizure.
Gus doesn't walk every year for diabetes.
Right.
And Leila always supports him too. It's a little community when you work up in Boise's Bay too.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're stuck for you're together for 6 months out of the year, right? You actually got,
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's, you're not in a metro area and you're not in a metropolis where life is just flying by you and everybody has something else to do and to go to. I mean, you're in a community and you are a community of people, right? And
exactly.
Yeah.
You got to all take care of each other too while you're up there, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure Leila appreciates this morning and all of the shout-outs that she's gotten, of course.
No, she is. She got 110% fully support. I just, I wish her well wishes and nothing but the best. Yeah.
Yeah, of all the ministers.
When I found out, right?
Yeah, it took us all back. And when you consider, it just went right to the heart of, her bluntness and her brashness, her honesty.
Yeah.
I said it right at the time. A lot of people turned heads when she, said, look, people should sue the government, sue me. Because that's how disappointed she was in what the healthcare system is delivering right now.
And she's trying her best too, right? She's trying to do everything. Be support for the Innu and the Inuit and not the big government and stuff like that. And she's trying to do the health, like she's trying to do everything. And she's sick. And that's the saddest because, I don't know, it's just, sickness is sad.
Well, it's not fair, I guess,
No,
obviously.
it's not fair. Life isn't fair.
Where her heart and her head is, we all know. Like there's no question about it, and sometimes that can be the conflict, right? I mean, like she wants to do so much, and then who are we to step in and give health advice?
Yeah, she's got to be taken back for a little bit now, and she focus on her health and stuff, right?
Yep, absolutely, because we all want her back, including the media.
Oh, we got to have her back.
Oh,
She's
absolutely.
Labrador. She's Labrador.
Yeah.
She loves us all.
Yeah, and only a few portfolios under her belt. Nothing, nothing big. Just 6 different portfolios: Labrador Affairs, Indigenous Relations, Mental Health and Addictions. Just take on that. That's it. Most would argue that's a portfolio.
That's a big task to take on, right? Yeah. That's a big boots to fill.
Yep.
You're trying to do everything at once, too, right?
Yeah, and the irony of it, our Minister of Health being in a health crunch and a crisis of her own, and I'll call it a crisis. I mean, she has spoken about the prognosis being good, the importance of early detection and all that sort of thing. So right away, she turns it around to try to help other people.
Yeah. Very, very, like I was devastated. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
I messaged her on Facebook this morning. I said, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what was on the go with you and stuff like that, right? But I said, you're going to be okay.
Well, the support...
Everybody's behind you. Everybody got your back.
They do. I mean, who wouldn't? I mean, we can all see the goodness in her intentions and how hard she's working.
Gracious, yes.
When would you see a public come out and actually express concern for how much work she has to do? I mean,
right?
Normally the ministers are taken to task for everything else.
She's so transparent too, right? There's no secrets with her.
Yeah, and that seems to be a little bit of that. I won't say.
I won't go there today, but whatever.
Well, I will say that when she did come out and say that about taking it on the chin for the government, saying, "Look, the healthcare system, it's hurting my people." She's even referenced some of of the people in her communities, in her district of Torringay Mountains, have come out and described the treatment of, what the healthcare system delivers to those people as opposed to what delivers to people on the island, amounting to racism.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you what. Goose Bay has no healthcare system down there. They just turn you out and turn you in. This poor little girl I read yesterday. Her parents went and made a flight to Janeway, and to go find out she has blood cancer.
I'm sorry.
After being.
What was the last thing you said?
She was turned away twice from Goose Bay Hospital, just sent her home. Thought it was whatever, never really checked her. So her parents went and took her to Goose Bay, or St. John's, to Janeway, and to come to find out she has blood cancer. This little girl. That's craziness. That's our healthcare system. Yeah, and it's sad to say, right? What do you do?
We're hearing more and more situations like that. We've been told that there's hard work that has to be done to
reestablish everything
and reshape the entire. As you said, the health court NL. It's all about the predeterminants, the good determinants of health.
Buddy, I've been down in Carboner.
Social determinants.
I've been down in Carboner Hospital, and they're all there, sat down there on their Facebook. Nurses in station. Sat down on their phones, don't care, the mentality of people, I believe today. You're old, you're gonna die soon, so who cares? That's the mentality of people, and I know that for a matter of fact because my father passed away because of the healthcare system.
If you have one situation and one experience like that, you're absolutely going to look at it that way. I'd be hesitant myself because for every one of those situations, we hear 100 of the good ones, of the fact that it is the staff are great. We've heard them all morning here, and I've even got one more email I'm just going to get to before we call it a day. Shauna, did you want to wrap up there? I'm about a minute before noon.
It's Shayna.
Oh, Shayna. Sorry, I asked too.
S-H-A-N-A. Everybody calls you Shauna.
I didn't see the W, so I was wondering about that. So there you go, Shayna. Sorry about all that.
Oh, no worries, buddy.
But look, I appreciate the call, and I know Layla, Minister Evans does too.
I got lots of stories to tell you.
Yes, but don't make it your last. You said this was your first time. Let's do it again.
First-time listener, or long-time listener, first-time caller, right?
Right, and the next time will be the second-time caller.
Oh, for sure.
Great.
Nice talking to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Shayna.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye. Okay, great chat. And yeah, just wanted to get to one more email on the healthcare. This is just an email. Don't see a name there, so I'll just leave it up. But I want to send my thanks to the Health Sciences third floor. I was living in Ontario. I went to emergency 6 times and my family doctor for help. I didn't receive any diagnosis. Unfortunately, my mom was sick. I came home. My condition got worse. I went to the Buren Hospital. They kept me in, sent me to St. John's, did the testing. I was diagnosed with progressive MS. Newfoundland saved my life. Love listening to VOCM. Keep up the great work. We will do our best right here. Thank you for that call. Leave it on a good news front. Let's drive safely out there, people. Arrive alive. VOCM cares.